So when I was in high school, my friend Kevin and I couldn't get enough of horror movies. It's funny, because they used to terrify me as a child. I remember, whenever a commercial for a scary movie came on, I'd cover my eyes because I used to get the worst nightmares. I've always been somewhat scared of the dark. It's a human instinct to feel what you can't see, the fear of the unknown. So one day, Kevin comes up to me after class in the hallway, just beaming a big smile. I knew it had to be something good. "Guess what I got?" he asked me. I shrugged, and he popped open the front zipper on his backpack. Inside was a Ouija board. I recoiled at the sight. "Are you crazy? I'm not messing with one of those things," I insisted. But Kevin chuckled. "What? Afraid? It's just a board game. Besides, this is the next step up." That was Kevin's problem. He was so competitive, always trying to one-up everyone. Watching The Exorcist and Friday the 13th is one thing, but why mess with something like this? Sure, it probably is just a board game, but why take the chance? But 15-year-old me was too curious, and initial apprehension soon faded to curiosity, and then excitement. "When?" I asked. Kevin dug me in the ribs. "Ha! I knew you couldn't resist. Tomorrow night at 8 p.m. My dad's on a business trip, so we'll have the whole place to ourselves. We'll go up to the attic, lights off, candles burning. Creepy." This was the stuff we loved. The adrenaline that hits you when you're scared is addicting. The fact was that the movies were getting stale. Kevin wanted a new, stronger source of fear. So why not mess around with something taboo? Walking to Kevin's house the next night, I remember thinking if I should back out. I fished out my flip phone and put my finger on the dial button. No backing out now. Kevin was right. This was the next step up. Kevin had already set up his house. It was dark inside save for a soft glow from the attic window. He really was going all out. I knocked on the door and it opened almost immediately. I was met by someone I didn't recognize. He was my age and he had sandy blonde hair. He smiled. "Hey man, here for the show?" he asked. "Huh. Did Kevin rope you in on this?" I replied. He chuckled. "Sure did. James, by the way. I live a few blocks down." He extended his hand and I shook it. I heard some footsteps and Kevin appeared at the top of the stairway. "Well, come on up then." James and I hiked it up the stairs and followed Kevin for the attic. The attic was dark, cold, and lit only by a handful of candles. "Dang, Kevin, you got any heat on?" I asked as I dug my freezing hand into my jeans. "Psh, don't be a baby. Come on, I already started about an hour ago to warm up." "Any luck?" I asked. Kevin shook his head. "Nah, it says not to play it by yourself," and I got no response. But now it's more than just me. James clapped his hands together. "Let's get to it," he beamed. The three of us put our fingers on the planchette. Nothing happened. It was dead quiet. I counted to 10 in my head, then shivered, still freezing. Why couldn't Kevin turn the heat on? I shook my head and glared at the board. I just wanted something to happen. "So, what's your favorite scary movie?" I asked of James, trying to break tension. "The Omen. You know that," Kevin replied, annoyed. James shrugged. "Can't say I have one," James muttered. The planchette didn't move. "Is anyone here with us?" Kevin asked. Nothing. No movement. I tried. "Is anyone there?" I asked. "Whoa!" Kevin shouted. The planchette had twitched. No way. One of us had moved it, I was sure. Maybe even me. I stared at the board and shivered again. Jesus, it was cold. Felt like we were standing out in the snow outside. My hand was shaking, utterly freezing. I had to pull my fingers off the planchette since it was going to shake along with it. Sorry, I'm just freezing. Here, go on ahead without me. I breathed onto my hands and dug them under my shirt to heat them up. Kevin and James continued. Meanwhile, I squinted in the darkness, looking at shadows, starting to feel an edge of unease. Why don't we stop this? I asked. Kevin glared at me. You've been here 2 minutes and you're already pansying out? Come on, man. The planchette twitched for real and moved across the board. Yes, Kevin shouted. The board had answered. Kevin beamed. Oh, this is sick. Come on, join back up. I glanced over at James, who nodded at me encouragingly. All right, fine. I dug my cold hand out and stuck a finger back on the planchette. You asked the question, James said to me. Okay. How many of there are you? The planchette immediately zipped to 1. Sick, Kevin whispered. He leaned in. What's my name? He asked. The planchette spelled out. Kevin. Kevin was eating it up. Meanwhile, a knot had formed in my throat. It was too cold in here, and I was getting worried. Watching movies was one thing, but this wasn't right. Movies can't hurt you, and my right hand was totally numb. I think we should stop. My hand, it's numb. I couldn't even feel the planchette under my finger. No, we are not stopping, James stated. Shut it, man. It's just getting good. Fine. Have fun. I pulled away and stuck my hand back in my shirt. I flexed my fingers to get a little blood flowing and shivered uncontrollably. For a few moments, the only sound was my teeth chattering. Next question, Kevin exclaimed, but the planchette immediately zipped to more letters. Kevin, I see you. I looked at the board incredulously. Where are you? Kevin asked. My teeth chattered even harder, and I started looking around wildly. I wanted to run. This was not fun anymore. But I felt rooted in the spot. God, it was so cold. Now my right arm was growing numb. The planchette spun wildly on the board. I am next to you. The three of us stared at the empty spot next to Kevin. One of the candles flickered out, making it even darker. Kevin, stop this now, I begged. I couldn't move. Both my arms were frozen. I swore my breath was frosting in front of my face. A flash of fear flickered across Kevin's. The planchette started moving back and forth across the board rapidly. Stop it now, please, I begged. Kevin pushed against the planchette, trying to get it to goodbye. It's pushing against me, I swear, he screamed. Kevin stood up, grabbed the board, and jammed the planchette with all of his weight to goodbye. Come on! He tossed the board to the side, grabbed me, and dragged me down the attic stairs. We collapsed on the second floor. Pins and needles ran down my arms as I slowly regained feeling. For a few moments we laid there, breathing heavily. Finally, I felt somewhat warm, and a few tears streamed down my cheeks. Did that just happen? Kevin stammered. I sat up and looked at the ceiling stairs to the attic. It was pitch black inside. All the candles must have gone out. A thought hit me. Kevin, where's James? Kevin glanced over at me. Who? I stared at him. James, your neighbor, the kid we were playing with. Kevin didn't respond. He looked back up at the attic. I glanced at my hand, which was still a little cold. The hand that had shaken James. Kevin, I breathed. Kevin hopped up on the attic ladder and poked his head up. He flicked on the lights and then looked back at me with a head shake. I felt sick to my stomach. I coughed and then puked on the floor. Kevin and I don't talk about that night anymore. He never told his father. He blotted it from memory. We never watched a horror movie again. We didn't want anything to do with it. I even changed the channel when those commercials come on. Kevin only recalls a great force pushing against him. He also said that my skin was totally blue near the end. He never saw the kid. He returned the board, and that was it. You want my advice? Stick to movies and books only. Why take a chance? If you made it this far, congrats and thank you. The story you just heard was an original written by me. This is the first video on YouTube for this channel, and I'm really excited to start. I've always wanted to make a channel like this. I love horror, I love scary stories, and I've done some voice stuff in the past, so I figured it was a natural fit. I want to do a lot more of this content, so like and subscribe to help me out. And if you have submissions, feel free to email them to the email in the description. Thanks, guys. This has been A Voice in the Quiet Night.